Well, guys, the time is nigh. NHL 24 is on the very visible horizon, and there's a fair amount of new features really focused around gameplay that I'm extremely excited to get to share with you that you may have gotten to see a little bit of when the trailer was released this morning. I am up earlier than I normally am. I haven't even showered yet or anything. I'm just very excited to be able to talk about some of this stuff with you guys now. And I mean, there's a lot. And thank you, to EA and stuff for making this available to those of us in the EA Creator Network. Right there. I think I'm gonna put the text right there. And to be able to share this with you, because honestly, the new dev team and everything that they've brought into the table, honestly, this has the potential to be probably the best NHL since, well, released on the old gen. Remember the train wreck that was NHL 15? Like, I guess that's old gen, and then old gen before that anyway. So this honestly has the potential to be one of the best NHLs in years, and I don't really say that lightly. As you guys know, I'm definitely not shy about critiquing the game, nor am I shy about sharing my thoughts with, those same devs now that I have, some of the access that I do. But, a feature list of, some of the main things that are coming here that I'll be talking a little bit about in this video is the, all new exhaust engine, and that's it kind of is two different things. There's a goalie fatigue system that's in that, and a sustained pressure system. Please get rid of the trap meta. Let's go. Physics-based contact, so a large revamping of the hitting system. Full crossplay. Yay! So hopefully the game won't die after the new year, at least on the online side of things. There's total control skill moves, which we'll have to, talk about and kind of explain, as that's going to be more like remapping of the skill moves, making some of them a little bit accessible, but a lot of the harder ones still are going to be more difficult to do. Vision passing system, which is great. No more of like, oh, that puck didn't mean to go there. You actually are going to have like face buttons to be able to pass with. There's all new human goalie controls. The world of Chel gets a huge revamp. Even Hut gets a bit of one. I'll mention what's in there. You guys know me. I'm not a Hut player. And of course, there is some enhanced presentation as well. It looks pretty great from what I've seen so far, but I do like that it hasn't taken the entire front seat. You do need to have those cosmetic changes, and there is quite a few, but I think it'll add a lot, especially to the online gameplay. But really, I think that the main cornerstones are that huge World of Chel kind of overhaul, and I think the gameplay changes. So let's kind of get right into that. So first of all, let's talk about the all-new exhaust engine. Now, what this is essentially is a complete revamp of NHL 24 gameplay, and that's going to reward extended offensive zone time, attack zone tie, and it's adding a kind of a new layer of authenticity, so to speak, to the game. I mean, you think about real hockey, when you have that power play in the other team's end, you're constantly wearing out the goalie, the defensive players, they stop chasing as much into the corner, they have to go into more of a shell that allows the offensive players to move the puck around more. And that's absolutely huge. If you as an offensive player, if you can keep up your pressure in the attacking zone, you'll trigger that. And I think it takes 30 seconds right now. They may tweak it in the future, but I'm pretty sure upon the play test and upon release, that will be kind of the threshold. It'll lower the opponent's attributes for a limited time, and it'll create obviously more space for movement and setting up plays. Now, this is going to be in every single mode, obviously, of gameplay. So you could do it in Be a Pro, World of Chel, Hut, even in franchise mode if you like to, play games through that. Everything will be kind of considered. Now, packaged together with that is the goalie fatigue system. So, you've always seen the stamina bars next to the goaltenders, right? But now it actually kind of matters. So the more you can sustain that pressure, you pour shots on that goalie, it's gonna start to slow their reactions down as you wear them down over time by forcing them to slide over in the crease, forcing them to make saves, keeping that pressure on. And also, tied into that, 75 new save animations. That's going to be huge. So I've seen some people kind of worrying, oh, it's already hard enough to play goalie. This is just going to make it harder. I think I can definitely understand that part of thing, but I think you have to, take into account that with all those new animations, with the new goalie controls that we're going to talk about in a little bit, like, it's going to be a lot easier to kind of maintain position. Some of those perks are not going to be as strong as they were. I'm sure close quarters and stuff, all of those are getting a revamp with this in mind. So I don't think they're just, packaging a huge, gameplay change like this and leaving all these other things the same, because you have to, obviously balance things with this new system. But I think this is great because, being an esports caster and obviously someone who plays, a fair amount of eShell and other gameplay things, I think this was sorely needed because, I like forechecking. That's no secret. I like offensive pressure because it simulates real-life hockey. And with this new system, we can hopefully get more of that real-life hockey feel as you get rewarded for zone time, as you're able to clamp down and wear down the opposing team and, making that goalie get more tired and have him, slower reactions, have it be more difficult to make saves. Goals can really be scored from nearly anywhere. You won't just see goals being scored from a few different places on the ice, as we kind of see now. And I think that's a massive change, and hopefully get rid of at least some of that glitch goal narrative. So now the next kind of bigger gameplay change that I'm going to talk about here is the new physics-based contact system. And let's just break that down. That's a kind of a marketing, let's be honest, that's a marketing term that they're using right there. Most of these they got to sell the game, especially after, how last game went. And side note, I really like how when they did that, interview with Clappy there, how they acknowledged that, yeah, NHL 23 wasn't what they wanted to be and not to the standard that they want to do, which I think we can all appreciate and thank them for, because we all know NHL 23 was a letdown. A lot of the previous releases have, in fact, been letdowns in some way or another. Let's hope for the best for this one. Anyway, so this is essentially a new physics and animation system, and it's gonna hopefully, kind of, they're saying revolutionize. Sure, if it does revolutionize physical contact, the thing that is really important to me is the new analog hitting system. There's 3 different hits, essentially, that you could do. You can do little bumps, and that's by gonna be kind of flicking that right stick. There's gonna be like an in-between, a face button, actually, that you can hit. And that's going to just be more of a standard shoulder check. And you can also charge up for a big hit. Now, of course, there's going to be risks and rewards for all these. The little bumps and things like that, just trying to separate man from puck, going to be, softer. You may not always, separate the guy from the puck. But as the defender, you're going to be able to kind of keep your position a lot more. You're going to be able to stay with that puck carrier a bit more, but you won't be able to just lay them out. And I think we saw that a lot when it came to truculence. Like, you're just skating with someone, they're skating the same way you are, trying to avoid you, and people are just able to lay them out from behind. I mean, not that never happens, but the frequency in which it happens was a little bit crazy at times. So with this, there's now obviously different kind of settings, so to speak, and different kind of things that can come from these new hitting animations. Whereas, like, a bigger check, it will open up more turnover opportunities, but if you don't connect with that big hit, you're completely out of the play. And that's great. You're gonna get, kind of, I hate to use the term stuck in an animation, but you are, if you load up for that big Jacob Trouba headshot. And definitely a clean hit. And you whiff on it, you're gonna be out of the play. And I think that's great. But if you connect, oh man, some of these new hitting animations, you could crank guys over the board. I think even glass can break. But as most of us have also said, like, hey, let it not stop the gameplay, especially in online play. Maybe single player, if you crank someone, like you crack the glass or a shot cracks the glass, maybe that can, stop play. But I think in online, yeah, most of us were like, yeah, we don't necessarily want it to stop play. Like, it could be there, have the glass crack, sure, but it shouldn't stop play and things like that, because that could be, yeah, you don't want to put too much RNG when it comes to the competitive scene. Essentially, like I said, this is going to create a whole new risk and reward gameplay, hitting people into the bench. Not a new feature. I'm going to call that out. It's not a new feature, but it's something that we get back. The new animations look sick. And from the, the screen capture, of course, I mean, it looks like it's going to be a really, really cool feature when you like to get, if you run those big physical builds, knocking people in the bench. I mean, that's going to take them out of the play. But again, you go for those big hits and you whiff. You're out of the play yourself and out of position. Now, on the topic of crossplay, we had a taste of it in NHL 23. You can play in between gens of consoles. This is full crossplay. And this is going to introduce kind of the new community system where I'll go more in depth on regarding World of Chel and things like that, where inside the game, you're going to be able to add friends and invite people. You won't have to strictly do it through Xbox and PlayStation. So this is obviously going to be great, where you can do complete crossplay. You can be in a club with people on PS5. PS people can be in a club with people on the Xbox Series X and S. So it should reduce, obviously, search times. It'll give more flexibility for you to be able to play with friends. You won't have to own 2 systems. Certain leagues will be bigger. I know there's a lot of leagues, and it's just the number keeps going up. I mean, you can tell there's a lot of taste for competitive play, especially when it comes to, EASHL and in the World of Chel and things like that. And this full crossplay, the fact now that you can be in a club with some of those people, play on their teams and things like that, is just going to really, again, help search times and keep the community active for a longer period of time, which I think is very, very important. And, well, there's not much else to say about that. I mean, full crossplay, let's hope the game doesn't die in February. Now, with these new total control skill moves, it was met with a bit of apprehension, including from myself as someone who doesn't really deke. They're kind of rehashing and making a lot more accessible some of these moves. Now, I have heard from some of the people who were able to go to Vancouver and things like that, that one of I think the Michigan was actually tethered to a face button in one of the builds that they were playing, and it was a little too easy to pull off, and it worked a little too much. Now, that is being dealt with and hopefully revamped, but essentially what these total control skill moves are is, if you've played NHL 2K10, it's kind of similar to that, where you'd hold one button first to activate it, and then different face buttons would activate different moves, some for in close, some for far away, and things like that. Now, I'm hoping we'll have the ability, I don't know if we'll have it on release, but I'm hoping they patch it in at some point where you can actually remap what deeks you want on your face button. And I think there should be restrictions. I'm sure there's some restrictions on which ones you can actually map onto those face buttons, but I don't think you should be able to map any of the really ridiculous deeks onto there. Or maybe you can, and they'll, if you don't have good enough ratings, you won't really pull it off. But I think that's really cool, especially for newer players coming in. If we want to build the community, some of these newer players coming in, we all know, people like the deke, people like offense. We've seen the trend of that throughout all the last iterations of NHL, where, too much to the chagrin of people who play defense like myself, it just seems like it's getting, easier and easier for people to try to deke through teams and whatnot, and defensive tools have been harder to play by, but hopefully with that new hitting system and things like that, defensive tools will be much easier to come by. Hopefully stick lifts actually work. You don't just get penalties all the time unless you do it at a very, very specific point in time, and never when that person actually has the puck, or you get a slashing penalty. It was called the penalty button for a reason. But back to the total control skill moves. New ability to fake, passes or dekes or shots. And you can do it out of every move too, so that's kind of cool. You can kind of chain together different things, and it'll look more fluid than it was. Rather than doing a deke, your guy kind of resets, and then you would kind of fake a shot. This is going to make things seem more fluid, give it a more realistic feel, and more total control over what you're going to be able to do with the puck and things like that, and I really like that. Hopefully this works out as, they intend it to, and just keeps improving the gameplay. So next up here is the vision-based passing system, or just vision passing system. So it's going to be, again, a remapping of face buttons to your teammates. Now, there's only 4 face buttons. There's going to be an extra one. I think it'll be like maybe right bumper or something like that. And you'll have to kind of hold button to bring this up, but it's kind of like what I mean, I'm pretty sure, NBA 2K has something like this. Even some of the old NHL games had something like this where you could, I think if you held back in the day, you would like hold the pass button, it'd bring up icons, and then you could press one of those. So this is great. I mean, this is what all of us have been asking for, some kind of system like this, because it's so frustrating when you want to pass to one person, but because your your left stick wasn't perfectly positioned to pass to that person, it'll get hooked on to someone else. And so, we're always like, okay, well, how about if you tap it, it'll go to a guy closer. If you hold it longer, it goes to someone longer. This is even better because now you can choose the actual person who you want to pass to. So again, this gives more control over what you want to do. Also, there's a revamp to the one-touch passing as well, so you're going to be able to more quickly move the puck around. There's kind of a one-touch passing now, but again, without, this new revamped sort of passing system, again, it suffered from the same thing. Sometimes you had two guys close to one another, you tried to one-touch pass, it goes into a lane towards the guy that you didn't want it to go to. It'll get intercepted, and that's frustrating. Your teammates get pissed at you, and again, this is going to hopefully create more creative and authentic passing exchanges. If you have more control over what happens and where you pass to, you're going to be able to set up more creative plays and stuff like that. You won't have to rely on RNG. And that's, again, we want to get away from as much RNG as we can, and hopefully this new passing system will do that trick. So jumping in now to the new and improved, we hope, it'll take some adjustment, the goalie controls. Now, not only are they going to be more accessible, which definitely seems to be a big highlight of the NHL this year. Now, accessible doesn't mean easy, and I want to kind of really reiterate that. Some people I know, well, in the community, and to be honest, people have, every right to be speculative with what the product that we've received for the last few years, hoping it's not, too easy. But I think, honestly, even though it's more accessible, it's going to still create, I think, even more of a skill gap, So there's going to be a new tethered control system where you can slide back and forth, go out and play the puck, make saves, stuff like that. And then you can actually auto return to a centered position, which is absolutely huge because it's happened. Anyone who's played goalie, whether you're not looking at the camera right, or even if you are, it's hard to kind of recenter yourself after you meander away from the net or make a big save and get caught out. With the tethered system, it'll return you to, dead center. And they're bringing back, but it's definitely an improved version of this. If you remember back to like NHL, I know it was in NHL 14. I actually didn't even buy 13. But you had the anticipation system where on the right stick you can hold left or right if that's where you thought the shot go. This is going to be called the instinct system. Now, it's going to be a similar system to that, but it's going to be five different ways that you can predict where you think that shot's going to go. Like, stick high, stick low, glove high, glove low, and 5-hole. There's a trade-off, of course, as there is. If you predict wrong, you'll have less of a chance to make the save, but if you predict right, you'll have a higher chance to make that save. Even if someone's going to absolutely snipe it or they have like 99 shooting rate, you'll have a chance to absolutely rob them and things like that. So again, this is, I think, where a big skill gap comes into play and good hockey IQ. So if you're, playing goalie, you're cutting off, one of the angles, you're forcing that person to take a shot at a certain location, you can probably predict in that direction and have a better chance to make a save. But again, it's going to be knowing when to use this system and when not to use this system, because if you predict wrong, you'll have a less chance to make a save if that shot goes, in a completely different direction. So again, I think this only adds to the goalie experience. I think it, again, even though it is more accessible with some of the controls and it's going to take some getting used to as they are very different, the new instinct system and other things like that will put that skill gap right there where the really good goalies will be able to, make more consistent saves at harder locations and things like that. And it won't just be sitting back as deep as you can in the crease sometimes, which, we do see now. So this should be good for goalies. So now we dive into World of Chel, which is one of the high notes, essentially, or one of the focuses of NHL 24 in this new dev team in particular, who are really, saying, they want to put community first over everything, which is huge. That's not only in-game community, like game features and things like that, but listening to the community as well. The creator network was expanded. Along with many others, have been added to it, and they really want to listen to other members of the community too. So it's not just they're only listening to a select few of us and things like that. And I know there's a lot of people out there who like to blame Game Change or whatever we're called now for all the bad things, or blame Rammer, who is not even in, like, he's a VP now, not even like head of production, whatever. Everyone's going to be listened to essentially. But the changes to the world of Chel, again, very community focused changes. First of all is mixed clubs. Now we mentioned crossplay already, and you can now play with, against, and everything across. Now, this will only be same generation, so like PS5, Xbox Series X, and then lower generation. I think they're kind of phasing out cross-gen play, simply because it's been a long time since the new consoles are out, but, really focused on cross-console play and things like that. And this, again, deeper player pool, it's going to shorten wait times, which I already talked about. You should be able to get in the game faster. Now, the big add right here is a battle pass. I think they're actually calling that, like, Fortnite and all these other, more modern games have, is that it's free and premium. Now, I know what you're thinking. They're monetizing, how good your player is going to be. To my knowledge, and everything that we've been told and everything that we've seen so far throughout the release trailer and the press release and things like that, where I'm getting all this information and such from, you'll be able to get, it's all cosmetic rewards. So you can actually have your guy not even be a hockey player. Like, there's a bunch of really cool, like, avatars that you'll be able to actually use and things like that, which I think makes the game really fun and creative and just show everyone's personality. And there's going to be a whole new range of player classes as well as vanity items to collect. Obviously, their tagline is, it'll change the way you play the game and how you look while you're doing it. Now, when it comes to what this means for gameplay, the biggest thing that I really like is how the creation zone is now different. Everything's going to be kind of streamlined, so to speak, and how you equip your guy, and also the menu loading times are going to be much shorter, and it'll almost kind of look like a loadout of, like, how you can do things. Instead of, like, the list that it is now, it's going to be a more visual loadout system, which is obviously really cool. And not only is this loadout system kind of different, like, all the cosmetic stuff that you get, this is the part that I love. All that cosmetic stuff that you get, there's no more hockey bags. It's all through this battle pass. You get to keep it year in, year out. So, new game comes out, you don't have to grind again for your tinted or tilted visor or the candy cane stick tape or all the, basic stuff that you look to get. You don't have to play a bunch and try to get lucky in hockey bags. You'll get to carry this over. So this is going to mean a lot more content from year to year, and you get to keep all the stuff that you earn. So you won't have to worry about always being on to grind, always hitting those objectives that they had, every single week or whatever, or month. It's take what you want, keep what you want, and, you can carry it over into the next game, which I think is great. I mean, people shouldn't have to grind every single year just for cosmetic stuff. And this is, gonna make it great. And again, with the premium battle pass and things like that, all it affects really is the cosmetic things. And I think that's very important. Now, there's gonna be new player classes and new X Factor abilities, being added and stuff like that. Some of that will be on a seasonal basis, and I think others will be on an earned basis. So there are certain things you will have to grind for and things like that. But again, with that and the creation zone kind of revamp, I think that, really adds a lot of type of things. And this is also going to be coupled with a casual mode and kind of matchmaking improvements. So the more human players that you have will be like more battle pass XP, so to speak, at least how I can understand it. It's a complete update to the ESHL playoffs as well. And it's going to be like a do or die 16 game path. And I think you can only lose 4 times, if I believe. And you'll earn ranking points and stuff when you do that. And then a global champion will be then crowned with whoever, I think, wins the most games or something like that. And I don't know. It's the playoff system needed a revamp. I'll have to kind of see it. Like it's kind of murky right now, and obviously I didn't get all the info on it, but as I understand it, those are kind of the basics of it. And of course, there's a new World of Chel storefront coupled with the creation zone. It'll give you more items and stuff if you even want to purchase things, and premium bundles to customize your character, player banners and stuff. So it's like they're mixing all these good things about other games like COD, Fortnite, and kind of bringing World of Chel into the 21st century, because I mean it's been a little bit outdated for a while. So hopefully all this is going to kind of, you know, really bring World of Chel and in turn NHL 24 into the modern era. Now, jumping into the Hockey Ultimate Team section, again, I don't really play this game, so I'll mention what they, you know, what it brings to the table, but honestly, to my relief, this wasn't a huge focus for this game. They're bringing back some stuff that they used to had, some, you know, like hut moments. That used to be a thing. I don't know what the rewards and stuff are going to be for that, but, you know, whether it's, you know, it's going to be like the historic hockey moments. They're going to show like a little video of the moment happening, I think with James Cebulski narrating over it. Then you have to kind of recreate that and things like that. There are going to be rewards for that. Not too sure what they are, but there's going to be rewards for those hut moments. There's also going to be, they're calling it Objectives 2.0. There's going to be, you know, a new real-time objective tracking system based on your card types, your team players, and your on-ice actions. And it's going to be, you know, updating the player progress in-game and things like that. So for those of you that play Hut, not the biggest overhaul changes, but some improvements and some features being added, re-added, just to kind of enhance that mode a little bit more. So the last section here that we're going to talk about is the enhanced presentation for NHL 24. There's always going to be a presentation package, and this time there's actually something really cool that I think has the potential to be hella toxic, but sometimes you need a little bit toxicity. The first thing here is flex moments. So there's going to be, in these flex moments, there's going to be 75 new goal celebration animations, new camera angles, there's lighting effects, and you can map your celebrations to the controller, how you want to do, you know, what you want to do at a certain time. So it won't just be like certain buttons doing certain things. You can remap this. Again, I hope we're able to remap other stuff too, such as deeks and maybe even passing controls. Anyway, so really what this does, it's this kind of amazing like camera scene and stuff like that, where you can have all these custom things. Like if you score a goal, that camera's on you. You can customize the lighting effects that come down to you, what celebrations you do, probably even emotes that your guy can say. All that will be able to be accessed at the press of a button and things like that. And so the way to, you know, the ways for you to chirp and be toxic, since they took away the spam and the slap shot thing, or the stick lift, or the just sprints around the ice, you're gonna have your moment of being able to show off and celebrate with all these animations and customization over how you animate and what you say and things like that. And honestly, from what I've seen, looks really cool. They really focus on kind of facial presentation too, and different expressions and different things and what they say, and I think that's really cool. Now, there's also going to be a new kind of crowd atmosphere too, which they're calling the most NHL, or the most energetic NHL crowd to date, where there's going to be new reactions to like significant stoppages and rushes down the ice, and especially when the new exhaust engine comes into play. If you hem them in that zone, you should hear that swell in the crowd noise too, and that's going to be kind of, you know, really, really more immerse you and put you in the moment more, which I think is important. I mean, I already get hyped when we get sustained zone time, but hearing that crowd noise swell up and things like that, I think is just going to add to it too. And I think I'll actually play with higher volume, because most of the time I'm not playing with much volume, because it's just a static crowd noise the whole time. It sounded like the COVID playoffs, right? When they're adding in some of that crowd noise. And it's just going to hopefully make things feel more alive and be more immersive. Now, for the broadcast itself, there is going to be a new color commentator. Ray Ferraro is no more. They're adding in Cheryl Pounder, who is obviously a two-time Olympic gold medalist and a veteran broadcaster as well. And so from the bits and pieces I've heard, I've always liked her. I think she's going to do great, and solid ad. I think, you know, changes for that kind of stuff every few years is important. Keeps things fresh, and one less thing for people to complain about. Well, actually, no, never mind. They're going to complain about this regardless. Certain people will complain that, well, I'm not going to say it. There's also going to be dynamic rink boards, and I know some people are like, is this going to be too distracting? I don't think so. You know, we see it in the NHL. Some of them are distracting because they're advertisements and stuff like that. But in this, it's going to be all has to do with the game. So you'll see like, you know, it's going to communicate kind of key moments. You'll see stats and stuff pop up. And I think the new pressure system is going to be added to this too. So on the boards, you'll be able to like see the timer for when you're going to hit that pressure system. I'm sure like the boards will light up and say that you have that sustained zone pressure. And that's, I don't know. We'll have to see. You know, this is it could be great. It could also kind of be distracting. I think there's a balance that can be achieved from this. And that's what I would like to see, is a balance of like, I don't want it to be too distracting, but having pertinent information right there. I think the countdown like towards the end of the period too. Cause again, I might play on higher volume now, but when I was playing on low volume, I would like never hear the beeps and things like that. I'd always count on someone else shouting out, you know, how many seconds were less and things like that. But because it's hard to like look completely down. If you're in that offensive zone, looking down at the scoreboard, it just doesn't happen. So you rely on the beeps, or in this case, if they put that timer on the end boards, if you're in the offensive zone and things like that, I think that's great because that's kind of where you're looking, right? You know, in your peripherals, it's a lot easier to catch a counting timer on those boards rather than that. So interactive boards, not going to be for ads, but actual, you know, delayed penalties, goal summaries, stat milestones. They're saying vanity backdrops too, so take that for what you will. But I do know that it is going to also be for that pressure system too. So that's what I'm really, really excited for. So there you have it. The new feature set for NHL 24. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I tried to give, you know, as honest a reaction to a lot of these things as I could. I didn't delve deep into HUT because simply I don't play it. And, you know, some things I am skeptical for and other things I am very excited for. And especially considering some of the, you know, early access looks I've gotten at certain things and some of the things that we've been shown and what has come in the trailer and things like that. You know, so honestly, a lot of us have been waiting to share some of this information. We're so happy that we can. Oftentimes in a new NHL game, I'll say cautious optimism, and you should still exercise some caution here. You don't want to get carried away. You don't want to hype something up too much, but honestly, I think I'm actually optimistic about this iteration. The game, especially when it comes to the gameplay changes. It's going to be, I think it has the potential to really kind of send NHL in a new and positive direction with all these changes, particularly, as I said, on the gameplay side of things. So again, I'm not just here to hype up EA. I'm here to give you guys my honest take on most of this stuff. And honestly, it is mostly positive right now. And it's not like, oh, where's this, where's that? There's not many changes to franchise or be a pro. And is what it is. And with what they're adding, I'm kind of okay with that because I'm really excited, especially for this new pressure system, because as someone who, you know, obviously enjoys the forecheck, enjoys offense's own pressure, you got to be rewarded for that. I think this could really, really do that. And as someone who casts NHL esports for a living as well, this is going to kind of hopefully get rid of the trap meta that we see and that really makes certain games lull. So I'm really excited for this and hopefully kind of really shake up that competitive scene and add even more of a skill gap and not allow people to just sit back, because if you do, your guys get tired, your goalie gets tired, goals are going to get scored on you a heck of a lot easier. So I hope this answered some of the questions you guys have, gave you guys some more in-depth information on some of these features that are to come. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below, what your favorite mode is, what you're looking forward to the most, and your honest opinion on what you think. Is it just a bunch of hype, or do you think this could actually be a good NHL game? Time will tell. So I hope you enjoyed it. Please remember to hit that like button as well, and I'll see you guys in some other videos very, very soon.